that? Oh, I'm yellow. I don't think I can fix that. No, I think I'm just gonna be yellow. That's better. Whatever. Hey everybody. So it's gonna be something new this week. I, as many of you know, am really into K-dramas, and it's kind of a bad thing, but I'm going to turn it into a good thing, and I'm going to review some of the ones that I've watched for you guys. In case you ever wanted to watch a K-drama, here's a review, and only watch the ones that, like, you want to watch. If I don't like them, you might like them, and it'll all work out in the end. If you don't like watching it, then just stop. So for this week, the review is going to be on Sensory Couple, or The Girl Who Sees Smells, or The Girl Who Can See Smells. It has a variety of different names. I don't know which one's the official name, but you know, I've given you all of the ones that I know about, so hopefully you'll be able to find it. Now I'm aware that this drama came out in 2015, so I'm a little late on the bandwagon, but I like waiting until dramas are completely out so I can binge on them and not wait a week for an episode, because I'm that kind of person. I'm the privileged person who views things. So I wait until they're already out. Plus, I wasn't really watching K-dramas religiously in 2015. Excuses aside, it's old, but I hadn't heard of it, nor had I seen any of the trailers, so I went into it completely new. When I'm planning on watching the show, then I'll watch the trailers, but I won't watch them beforehand because I want to be focused on the drama that I'm watching currently, if that makes any sense. So after seeing the trailers for Sensory Couple, I was afraid that the show was going to turn into a hot mess, because they're trying to combine murder mystery with comedy. And you know, sometimes two things aren't meant to be combined. However, I was pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised with both the cast and the plot line, at least from the beginning. It was refreshing and adorable. It was fun to watch Mugok? I'll put it on the screen. Played by Park Yoo-chun. Again, I'll put it on the screen. It was fun to watch him play his character with the deadened physical sensations. Some would argue that he also had lessened emotional feelings, but I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like he definitely had the emotional connection, he just wasn't comfortable with showing it. After seeing Shin Se-kyung on the screen for you in other dramas, particularly her older dramas, I was a little bit skeptical of her acting and whether or not I would like her as an actress. I also saw her in Habaek, or Bride of the Water God, and I wasn't too fond of that either. But I think it's because all of them are more serious roles, and I think I prefer her as a comedian actress or a comedy actress as opposed to a serious actress, because I really liked her in this drama. I appreciate how the plot entwines almost immediately, and it doesn't leave us guessing or wondering how the storylines connect, but it does so in a way that doesn't feel contrived or overly complicated. It's just, there's this one event that connects all these people together. It's easier to follow. Like I said, I was really skeptical of how the comedy and the crime would come together, but it actually came together quite well. It doesn't feel natural because I don't feel like that kind of contrast could feel entirely natural, but it doesn't feel too forced either. It was a really nice combination of both, and I enjoyed it. The characters don't drag out secrets unnecessarily, and the plot doesn't drag on each point, which was really nice and refreshing after having just finished a show where all of the plot points were so dragged out and nobody talked to each other, and there were so many secrets, and it would have been so easy if everyone just talked to each other, and it makes me want to pull my hair out when other dramas are like this, and it wasn't like that at all. Things were told when they needed to be told. The characters talked to each other. It was the 21st century. There was communication. Even before the romantic interactions, the chemistry between Mugok and Chorim was almost perfect. I loved how they bounced off of each other and played off of each other in a way that was platonic but also flirty. I personally am not super into the romance for the romance aspect of it. I'm into the romance because I like seeing how characters interact with one another. That's one of the reasons why I like romance. I, as an asexual, don't particularly like the romancy romance parts though. But that's a solid singular opinion. The CGI for her being able to see the sense felt just a little bit contrived to me as someone who sees sounds, but I understand that it would have been really difficult to get the point across any way else, and the way they did it is actually beautiful in its own way, and so I'm not mad at it, I'm mad at it. But I'll let it go because I don't think there would be a better way for them to do it, and I really appreciate the fact that they took this idea and they made it into what it was without it being so over the top. Like, it was subtle and it was nice and it was pretty, but it just felt a little bit wrong. I appreciate how all of the characters are smart and proactive about their problems. Like, even though sometimes I was screaming at the screen because they were being so stupid, it's shown later on that they had a reason for their stupidity stupidity. There was actual thought put behind it. It just wasn't stupidity for drama's sake. It was a thought out process that was kind of, it happened in a weird way and it turned out to be stupid. And sometimes it didn't turn out to be stupid at all and everyone was just really good at acting that looked like they were acting well. Like actors who act and they act like they're bad at acting. Whoa, but actors who act like they're acting but they're good at acting but they feel like they're bad at acting. Like that whole thing is so confusing and, you know, props to all of them who are able to do that. The plot twists were great. Even if some of them were a tad bit expected, you know, sometimes it happens, but there were definitely plot twists in there that made me actually pause and go, what the actual heck just happened? Like, I'm not understanding where this curveball came from. What? And I really like having that feeling, especially when it gets tied in well into the plot line and it's not just like a plot twist that makes no sense. Like, all of the plot twists made sense with context. Kudos to Min Namgung, again on the screen, for playing Chef Jae-hee, because boy did he make me sympathize with that character. I actually got really emotional when Mugak was burning Jae-hee's books. Like, those were the only way Jae-hee was connecting with other humans, because he couldn't recognize the faces and he didn't connect with the people, but he connected with the stories that they had written down for him, and they were his friends. They were his only human connection. And then Mugak just like pretends to burn them in front of him to get a reaction, and I get what you're doing, and I get that you also aren't burning the actual book, but you are murdering his friend in front of his eyes, and I will not forgive you for hurting him in that way, even though he kind of, like, just a little bit deserved it, because he did murder people. That doesn't make what the character did any less horrendous, nor does it prevent me from seeing the fact that he did murder people, and that is a pretty terrible thing to do. It just helps portray Jae-hee as a human rather than a monster, which I feel like most storylines forget to do with their villains or their murderers, and then you don't connect with them as well. Whereas I feel like anyone could be pushed to murder if they have the right circumstances, and they're all human. Just because you don't agree with it doesn't make it any less human, and I feel like that's something writers kind of ignore when they're writing villains. They try to make them as like inhuman or monstrous as possible so that the audience doesn't connect with them the way that they really should. You should be able to connect with your villains just as much as you're able to connect with your protagonists. On the downside, there were a great many plot holes, but if you didn't look too closely and you weren't actually thinking of recapping the series, you didn't really notice the plot holes. They weren't glaring, they didn't bother me until I actually saw them for what they were. So it's more of a drama to watch casually, not take it too seriously, but then what drama is to be taken too seriously? And as always, or like maybe not always, but most of the time, there's a nice happy ending and everyone except Jae-hee who dies and all the other people who were murdered by Jae-hee, in general, at least for our main protagonists, there's a happy ending. Overall, I would rate this drama a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I would watch it again, but it definitely kept my interest the first time through, so that's saying something, because a lot of dramas don't, and I get bored by like episode 12. So that was my review on Sensory Couple. You can watch it on Drama Fever. I'm sure they have it in other places as well. I watched it on Drama Fever. Let me know if you've seen Sensory Couple, or if you were planning on seeing it and I totally just spoiled it for you, or if there's any other dramas you want me to watch and review in the comments below, and I will see you guys when I see you. Bye!